more times than I've probably gone.
Try to pass that before you see it.
Oh, no, I got a nice short lawn. I got it.
Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, July 7th, 2015 meeting of the Raymore Planning and Zoning Commission. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll call roll, and please be sure your microphone is lighted and speak into it for the record. Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Commissioner Berenson.
Present.
Commissioner Bowie.
Present.
Commissioner Crane.
Present.
Commissioner Fizer.
Present.
Commissioner Meiske.
Present.
Commissioner Sarsfeld.
Present.
Mayor Kirchhoff. And Commissioner Faulkner is present. We do have a quorum. We have no personal appearances scheduled this evening. One item on the consent agenda, which is acceptance of minutes from our June 16th, 2015 meeting. And unless any of the commissioners have concerns, I would entertain either a motion to accept the consent agenda or to accept minutes of the June 16th, 2015 meeting.
So moved.
One of those. Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
And second by Commissioner Meiske. All those in favor, raise a hand, please. 7, 8, and it's 8 in favor. None opposed. And no abstentions. We have nothing this evening under old business, so that takes us to new business. One case this evening, which is case 15012, rezoning of Willow Hills Lot 12 from Cass County Residential District to Raymore RR Rural Residential District. And Mr. Carteret, since the city of Raymore is the applicant for this case, if you would present the case and give us a staff report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This case is a request to establish a city zoning designation on property that was recently annexed into the city of Raymore. A state statute indicates that when a property is annexed into a community, that it retains its county zoning designation until the city goes through a rezoning process with a public hearing in order to establish a city zoning classification for the property. When City Council annexed this property, that was completed last month, the annexation agreement that the city has with the property owner indicated where the property owner allowed the city to be the applicant to establish the city zoning classification for the property. So the property owner is certainly aware of the request this evening, aware that the request is to make the property zoned classification of RR, which is rural residential. So they're fully aware and acknowledge that this hearing is going on this evening. They were advised they're certainly welcome to be here. They did not need to be here since the city was the applicant. Since it is being handled as a rezoning, it does require a public hearing, so we advertised for this evening. I do need to enter to the record the notices that we mailed to all the adjoining property owners, the notice of publication in the Journal, our Unified Development Code, the application, growth management, and the staff report that is presented to you this evening. Again, the annexation became effective on June 8th of 2015. That has been recorded, so it is now officially part of the city of Raymore. All the property in Willow Hills, now with one lot being the exception, all within the city limits. So we've been doing a number of these annexations over the past dozen years. So there's only one rogue lot left within the subdivision that's still in the county. So all the lots that are within the city are currently zoned RR, rural residential. So that would be the logical classification to provide the property tonight, and that is what is being requested. I provided in the staff report all the use standards and the development standards that apply to the rural residential zoning district. The report also includes proposed findings of fact for your consideration in this request. I did not hear from any of the adjoining neighbors with any concerns about the zoning. I think as long as we're being consistent throughout the subdivision, that the neighbors in the past have been interested in what we were doing on rezonings, but I think they'd become accustomed to the process now. So we're not hearing from anybody in the neighborhood about the annexations or the rezonings anymore. I think it's common practice now that as these properties want to connect to city water, that they go through this process of annexation and zoning. So based upon the recommended staff findings, staff does recommend the commission accept those findings and forward this case to the city council with a recommendation of approval. There will be another public hearing held by the city council. The neighbors are aware of that hearing date as well. So that concludes staff report on this item.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Carteret. I'll open the public hearing on case 15012. Willow Hills Lot 12 rezoned from Cass County Residential District to RR Rural Residential District. And if anyone from the public would like to speak, please come forward to the podium. And seeing no one, close the public hearing on the case and open the floor for any questions, discussion, or a motion from the commissioners.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Anderson.
just a quick question.
Of course.
Jim, you had mentioned that there's one quote-unquote road lot still outstanding there. So is that lot occupied in terms of a residence?
It
or-
is occupied by a residence. That resident, in talking with the owner of the lot, the subject lot tonight, she thought that that other lot would be part of a joint application. But the Lot 12 owner had more of an immediate need to connect to city water. So the one lot that remains in the county, they still truck the water in. They're not connected to a well or anything. They use storage tank. I have heard that there's an interest in the near future to annex. At this time, they're the one lot that remains not part of the city water system. They're connected.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Mr. Carteret.
Got a quick question.
Yes, Commissioner Bowie.
It says it requires limited institutional uses compatible with surrounding residential neighborhoods. Is there currently anything other than housing?
there's not. There's a couple of agricultural properties, one to the north and one to the east, just large acreage agricultural properties, but no other uses other than single family in the area.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner
I'd
Anderson,
like to make a motion.
of course.
All right. To make a motion that we accept the staff proposed findings of facts in forward case 15012 to City Council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Okay, was that Commissioner Crane? Thank you, Commissioner Crane. All right, so we have a motion on case 15012 to accept staff proposed findings of fact and forward the case to City Council with the recommendation of approval. Is there any further discussion on the motion? And if not, all those in favor, raise a hand, please. 4, 5, and it is 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. So that will go on to City Council with our recommendation. And I believe, Mr. Zur, that takes us up to the City Council report, if you would, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm happy to provide that this evening. Mr. Willarth did provide me with the City Council minutes and, City Council agenda for the June 22nd, 2015 council meeting. All council members were present at that time, and there are only 2 items on the agenda that he identified as having issue or concern for this planning commission. The first was identified as an unfinished business second reading for the Prairie View of the Good Ranch rezoning. That rezoning was brought before this Planning and Zoning Commission on June 2nd, 2015, approved by a vote of 7-0, and then was forwarded along to the City Council for their condition, or for their review. At the time of the final approval of the rezoning, it was approved by the council by a vote of 5-3, and so that rezoning has been now completed. The other item that is tangentially related to that is the Prairie View of the Good Ranch preliminary plat, which also was seen and reviewed by this by this commission on June 16th, 2015, and approved by a vote of 9-0. The preliminary plat was approved by the City Council at a first reading by a vote of 6-2. So, first reading has been approved, and that will then go to a second reading, I presume, at this next. Just one reading. There you go, preliminary plat. So that one is now completed, as well as the rezoning, and those are the two items from the agenda that Mr. Willard thought would be of interest to you.
Thank you, Mr. Zer. Mr. Cataret, I think we're ready for the staff report and planning pipeline, please.
Yes, sir. Looking at the calendar for Planning Commission, we will have a meeting on July 21st, 2 weeks from this evening.
Okay.
We have 3 items on the agenda. We do have a public hearing scheduled. It is for a proposed amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding for Creekmore. So it's officially titled the Creekmore Fourth Amendment to the Preliminary Plan. A part of the preliminary plan is this Memorandum of Understanding that the city has with Creekmore, and that the MOU, as it's referred to, is a document that established all of the standards for development in Creekmore, because Creekmore is a planned unit development. So we don't have specific zoning requirements in our code for a PUD. The whole idea of a PUD is for them to establish, just for their development, what those standards are. And so for Creekmore, there's a variety of standards depending upon the neighborhood. So Westbrook has a set of standards, Southern Hills has a set of standards, Edgewater does, and then Westbrook Villas has another set of standards. So what has occurred over time is, this is the Fourth Amendment. There have been other amendments previously. Those were more based on land use, where Cooper, who is the developer of Creekmore, came in and eliminated a multifamily proposed area and turned it into single family. And then the Second Amendment was where they took 2 duplex areas and turned them into single family. This particular request is dealing with the development standards that apply to the Westbrook subdivision, or series of phases of the subdivision. And the next item on the agenda that you'll see would be the Westbrook and Creekmore 11th final plat. So the two are interconnected. The 11th final plat is a small, I believe it's about 23 lot phase on 163rd Street between Fox Ridge Drive and the clubhouse. So it's a small pocket of land area. If you're familiar with the golf course, it's along the first hole of the golf course, but again, just to the west of the clubhouse. In this particular subdivision, they're proposing to create lots that will have development standards that are different than the other phases of Westbrook. Westbrook is a very, it's the larger lot development of Creekmore, very similar to our R1 standards. They only modified, I believe, the front yard setback in that subdivision. For this particular phase, and the amendment would only apply to this phase of Westbrook. So it's very specific, but they are asking to modify the development standards, lot size, setbacks, and so that requires an amendment to the MOU, requires a public hearing before the commission and a public hearing before the council. Again, it's going to be very similar to a rezoning, is really how you'll look at it, because that's in essence what they're asking to do, is just rezone that pocket of land to create these new development standards. So they definitely will have to have a representative here to explain the request to you. So there'll be, initially we'll have the public hearing for the amendment to the MOU, and then the next item on the agenda would be the final plat. Typically we do the final plat as a consent item, but we really need to put it on the regular agenda after you consider the MOU amendment, since they are interrelated. We cannot approve the 11th plat if the MOU is not approved, at least the way it's presented. And you'll see the conditions that I'll recommend on the 11th plat will tie the two together, if you would. So those are 2 items on the agenda. The third item is a site plan request for Taco Bell. It's proposed to be a corporate developed restaurant on Lot 2 of the Raymore Market Center, which is the lot directly at the corner of Johnston and 58. So it's the one right in front of the pharmacy for the Price Chopper. It was a lot that initially was proposed for a different type of restaurant. Taco Bell came in and purchased the lot and now are proposing to do their new concept store, if you would. It's a little bit different design than what you typically have seen on the restaurants. It's a newer prototype building. But that does require site plan approval. It's already platted. They already have the use allowed there. And so that will be coming forth for your consideration on the 21st. And then we also will have a meeting on August 4th. The only item on that agenda is a public hearing. That'll be our 22nd amendment to the UDC. We talked about when we did the annual review of the UDC of some proposed minor amendments. That was on your agenda at your last meeting, and so the official public hearing will be on August 4th. Don't have anything currently scheduled for your August 18th meeting, but we haven't come up on the filing deadline yet, so we just leave that open for now. So those are the items currently under review for the commission. I think that concludes staff report at this time.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Catarat. I'll open the floor for comments from the public. And seeing none, let's move on to commission member comment. It's been a while. I can't remember who I picked on first, last. Oh, okay. So, well, we'll change it up a little bit here. Commissioner Sarsfield, can I start with you? Comments this evening?
None?
Okay. Secretary Crane?
No comment.
Now we're on a roll. Vice Chair Pfizer?
No comment.
Okay, you think I'm going to you, don't you? I'm going down there and come back. Commissioner Bowie? Commissioner Meiske?
No comment.
I'm getting amused now. Commissioner Berenson?
No comments.
Commissioner Anderson?
Don't have a comment, but more, I guess, a request, Jim, regarding the Creekmore. Is there any way that we can get, at least, can I get a copy of what the proposed changes to the Westbrook, or do we need to get it as a board as a whole? Reason I'm asking, just as a resident of Creekmore, and maybe some questions that's coming up that.
Yeah.
When, I can't state this, when the applicant makes their official request, I post the not directly the application, but the details of the application on the city's website. So if you go to raymore.com and get to the community development page of the website, I do have current projects, and I always post whatever is currently been filed with the department. So what you'll see on any application, the Westbrook 11th plat, you'll see a copy of the plat they submitted, and if they file their MOU request, as soon as that is filed, and I know the exact details of it, then that will be posted as well. So that's how I notify the general public from the website, or of course through direct mailing if they're adjacent. So that's how you would see what they're specifically requesting in advance of the official packet that the commission gets. And of course, once I prepare the packet and it gets delivered to you, the packet's posted on the website that day as well. So we try to keep the flow of information consistent.
I did not know that, but I appreciate it, and I'll do that tonight. Thanks, Jim.
And maybe of interest to others that are watching. Thank you, Mr. Catarat. As always, Mr. Eanes, thank you. You've been quiet this evening. It's nice to have you available should we have questions. Mr. Zerg, also nice to have you here, especially when we have a public hearing involved. You just never know. And Mr. Catarat, you're doing at least double, maybe triple duty these days. I think keeping up with the minutes as well as your day job. So I want to express our appreciation to city staff for the continued high level of support, and believe, unless any of the commissioners have anything else, I don't know if this is a new record or not, but we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Crane, second by Commissioner Meiske to adjourn. All those in favor, raise a hand, please. And it, let's see, I'm counting 9, but I think that's because Commissioner Anderson voted twice.
I see the man from Guinness awaiting us with
So
cameras.
it's 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you guys tried to.
When